so what we'll do today is I'm going to turn it over to Bernardo to lead a session for us. We're going to dive into the case. He'll give a short introduction. We will then, I think, break out into some breakout rooms to discuss some of the questions that Bernardo will pose for us. And then we'll come back and Bernardo will lead us through a case session as he would lead it in a class, an executive MBA undergrad class, the way he uses the case. And then we'll, at the end of the session, what the plan is that we'll have 15, 20 minutes to provide feedback to Bernardo and the case writers on the case discussion as well as the case materials. And so with that, I am gonna turn it over to Bernardo. And I look forward to a rich case discussion today. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you very much, Bernd. Just one slight comment. We had made a slight modification to the agenda. We will show you that right away. Because as we have all the stakeholders represented here in the audience, we want to take advantage of that. So maybe we're going to replace the breakout rooms with interaction with our protagonists. So that will enrich the case. If you don't mind, Brent, we're going to do that. And you're the boss. Thank you for the K. And first, before I do the introduction, I would like to have Susana, Falcão, Martins, and Marcelo Paladino, which are the two colleagues that we worked on the case, to present themselves, and then I will go into the introduction of the case. Please, Susana, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Bernardo. My name is Susana Falcão Martins, and it is an honor to be here with you today. Thank you. I lived the last 8 years with my family in Angola, and in 2018, I had the privilege to participate in the challenge of thinking and implementing the project DOM 4.0 for small and rural families. That is a stakeholder from Fazenda MAXI. I am currently coordinating the program AgroLab, a research initiative within the project. And I'm also the executive director of Foundation Angela. It was with great pleasure that we accept the challenge of writing this inspiring case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susana. Marcelo, your introduction, please.
Yeah, Marcelo Paladino. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a professor of Universidad Austral, mainly EI Business School and the Center for Agribusiness. In the business school since the last 40 years. Now I suppose that I will begin the process of being retired and moving to the new opportunities inside of Argentina, working in the agribusiness directly as a manager of a farm. And only one point about the case and why we do these things. Because in a lot of developing countries, we see that if we change the role of some leading companies and put efforts in developing the value chain of small and medium companies, family-owned companies, they can produce a huge amount of advantages for the environment and for the competitiveness of the country. So this case is in the line of how to create the conditions for development in developing countries. And we see that it's like a universal concept. And we are sure that the end of the case also will arise some conclusions about the ethical conducts and the values that are on the table, because not all the companies do the same. So why some companies do this and why the other companies don't do this, it's very relevant. So this is my field now, the development and how leading companies can co-create with the public sector better conditions for development. So thanks again for the opportunity of being here, and we see you.
Thank you very much, Marcelo. So I'll go into it, Brent, if you think okay. So we already introduced ourselves, and this is what we're going to be doing, no? So it's a case introduction. Then we're going to have a discussion with the protagonists of the case, and then we're going to have all your inputs in order to improve the case. So this is a first question that we need to answer. Why did we wrote the case? Or Marcelo already made an introduction into that, no? We find that the case can give some light on the conditions needed to create development in countries like Angola and having agriculture as a driver, no? So the paradox of the case is this one, no? Angola has one of the best arable lands and freshwater ratios per capita, but 80% of the food is imported, okay? Another point is that out of the 35 million hectares allowed to be cultivated in Angola, as you can see on the annex of the case, only 5.6 million are right now under production. Angola has, in the same place, the problem and the solution for all food security and for development. And so the question leaves us to how can Angola agriculture be competitive and sustainable in the future? And that's why we spotted the case, because it is giving some answers to these questions of the paradox. And how can agriculture, and this is the point that Marcelo was making just now, can lead us to development in our countries, in emerging economies like Angola. And let me add one more factor to why we wrote the case. It looks at the main profit formula for Angola is no longer valid, which used to be oil. Look at the price of oil, look at the cost of generating oil in Angola, and that is not sustainable. And Angola knows it, and that's why they're putting the eye in agriculture. This just to show we have in the room people from FAO, and they have built up this map, which I find it very interesting. The maps in gray are the countries that have been able to develop their agriculture, and they've been able to tackle food security. And the countries in green are having food security problems, and they have enough arable land and water to solve the problem. So some basic facts from Angola. The 25 million population at the moment that we have written the case is growing at a very interesting pace. And this is the distribution of the GDP. You will find all this information in a detailed way on the annexes, but as you can see, 50% is oil and gas and 11% is agriculture. So how to switch that from one to the other in the future, how to increase to 50% of the GDP, the agribusiness sector of Angola, would be one of the challenges. And this is not a minor thing. When I was visiting on one of my missions a farm, I found this old Russian Soviet tank, and I asked my Angolan colleague, why don't you remove that from the place? And he said, that is a reminder for us. We had a more than 20 years civil war. The Cold War scenario was in Angola. And let's take this also as a fact. Angola wants peace for now and never. So whenever you talk to anyone on the public sector, on the private sector, they will say, we want to live in peace. And that's for an emerging economy, for an emerging country, is a good requirement. We need to have peace in order to develop. So that's why I thought we should bring in this also as a fact. Since 2002, Angola has had political stability, peace, and that will allow to develop. Clear in 1975. So now some facts from the agriculture sector of Angola. Let's go into that. More than 2 million Angolan families live on agriculture. It's estimated that currently 2.1 million family farms are working in Angola now, and only 10,000 commercial farms are in Angola. And this one first problem that we find, that universe of productores familiares, family farms, are not all the same. And I see there that Joao is looking at the graph, because Joao Nunes, because it's not the same to be a self-consumption family farm or a family farm that's looking for commercial drivers. And that is the information, and maybe that's one of the bottlenecks that we have in emerging economies, the availability to information. That is one piece of information that we're missing in Angola. This universe of family farms, how many of them are self-consumption and how many of them are commercial? But the key to the case is that how Fazenda MAXI Program managed to turn people that were working on the self-consumption column into the commercial agriculture. That is what we found fascinating about the program. Let me keep on going on this. So this will be a typical process of the outcome of maize in a family, self-consumption families. And this other guy, he's on the same area, just next door. He's a family farmer, the one on the green shirt, and he's multiplying seeds, soybean seeds, for his neighbors. So he's a family farmer doing commercial business. And that's what I found very interesting, how to do that transition from just self-consumption into commercial farming, okay? The lady is the agronomist. We're gonna see her now further on the presentation. So let me show you just one small piece of information from Angola, which is showing the paradox. This is regarding maize. You will find that on every table of an Angolan family, or any bar or any restaurant, this meal, this is fungi. It's made out of maize, and it's crucial for Angola. It's like bread in Argentina, for example. No, it will play that role. So these are the two different ways of doing maize in Angola. You will find these family farmers on a self-consumption way, working that way. They're planting their maize with South African seeds from Panar. But at the same time, in the same region, in the same province, you will find people working on a mechanized way. You also find this process that I just show you, and you will find this industrialized process to get to that input for that meal based on maize. And you will find this way of doing the marketing of your output, but you also find this way of doing that marketing of your output. So there in one slide, you have all the realities in the same province, in the same town, of how to achieve that meal at the end of the day. You have the informal way, the family self-consumption way, the informal market, and on the right hand, you have people that is developing a value chain. So the secret here, or the question will be, how did the Fazenda MAXI program turn from left to right in order to achieve this development of the value chain? So going deeper into the maize situation in Angola, I think this graph shows the problem. So Angola consumes around, when we wrote the case, 5 million tons of maize, and they were only producing 2.7. So they import maize every year, and remember I told you, they have 35 million hectares available, of which they're only cultivating 5 million, no? So the question will be, to the next 5 years, they could increase the production in 120% in the future. Will that be possible? What will be needed to be done in order to achieve that goal? And that is also key on the case. When you look at this number, you will say, that's impossible. How can you increase 120% production? But let me show you some cases, some empirical evidence regarding this. This is a case in the province of Huambo. That's where Jose Maria Wanasi is right now. He's in the room, and he will give us his inputs in a few minutes. These are 122 hectares of maize in Kaala, in the province of Huambo. So first of all, that is the average maize yield for Angola, 1 ton per hectare. If we compare it to a close friend of Angola, which is Zambia, they're doing 2 tons per hectare every year. That's the average national yield, okay? So we have cases like the one of Kaala, the one I'm showing you, that they've been able to move from the national average yield to 6 tons. And what they have done, well, basically what they have done is not magic, is basic things that you need to do in order to improve yields from a technical point of view, which maybe that is not very difficult. The difficult part of it is who has done this. And that is where this Fazenda MAXI technology comes in, how to put in together a network. Maybe that is key for the case. When you read the case, remember that the good cases, they never tell you in firsthand the problems and the solutions. You have to think about them, no? So after you read Fazenda MAXI, the idea is how to put up together a network, how to manage to put together 140 families. The SOBAs are the traditional authorities of a village in Angola. The provincial government, the input suppliers of this world, local government, and the extensionist office of the national government. All those guys being put together with one objective to obtain these 6 tons in the 3 crop years. I was there. The man with the Ironman cap is the SOBA. He's the traditional authority on that region, and he's key. He will say yes or no for a project. He will speak for the community. So if you don't take those type of things into account in a project, you're out in Angola. But this slide is just to show you that in Angola, it's possible. But you need to develop this who area, this network. And I will just suggest the methodology of analysis for the case. We believe that ideally we should use a value chain approach. That is the best way to take most of the advantage or output from the case. Of course, the case had many angles to attack them. For example, you can talk about culture, human resources, marketing of inputs. There are many other ways of tackling the case, but one comprehensive way of looking at the case is this methodology. These 4 framing questions, I think they're key. Of course, you need to build up all the data needed in order to find out if this value chain is generating economic growth, if this value chain is inclusive, if this value chain is sustainable socially and from the environment point of view. But I believe that this will be a good way to take most of the advantage of the case, to have these 4 framing questions. And of course, the one on the far left is critical. How would you do a good functional analysis of the main stakeholders in this value chain? We find that critical for any agriculture value chain in Africa, because as I told you, it's not very easy to discriminate in that huge universe of the 2.5 million families, farmers, which ones are just self-consumptions and which ones are willing already or already working on the commercial agricultural logic. So maybe the best way to start analyzing a case like Fazenda MAXI is to do these 4 framing questions and to have a very clear picture on who are the stakeholders and what is it needed to develop a network based on this value chain. And these are the objectives that we thought we should tackle with the case. They look ambitious, but I think we can do it. I think the case can tell you about which ones are the key success factors for activities, agro-industrial activities in Angola. Can also tell you how to analyze these type of value chains in Angola. How should, and this is critical, no? How the governance of these value chains should be. Who should have information, how to share it? And maybe that is critical here. if these farmers which are supplying Fazenda MAXI don't have enough information regarding seeds, soil correction, fertilizers, management skills from the technical point of view, they will never be able to reach the requirements that Joao Nunes will put into place in order to allow them to supply Fazenda MAXI. So that flow of information, which used to be a sum-zero game previously in Angola for normal value chain, now becomes a win-win driver. How to carry a competitive value-added activity in adverse environments. You saw the tank there. There is not enough infrastructure. There is not enough communications between cities, farmers, provinces, and the provinces and Luanda. Luanda is a big market in Angola. So how to deal with all that? That is also part of the black box of the case. And I'm sure that Joao Cordeiro and Joao Nunes will give us some light on that. How to develop an innovative process. I'm willing to ask both executives from Fazenda MAXI, how did they manage to think about this and develop it in Angola? What were they thinking about? Well, these are all the objectives that I think we have on the case that can be tackled. As I told you, the case can be seen from many different angles. And now I will just make a very short introduction of what you read on the case already, but just in case that someone had no time to read it. These are the main features of the case. Fazenda MAXI Program is a national supply program for fresh products in Angola. And it's the objective of the program is to develop suppliers. And the business rationale behind the program is reducing this dependence on what I told you. 80% of the food in Angola is imported. And this also, it's in line with a national public policy, which is called Prodesi. There is a link for Prodesi. I think it's here on the presentation, which is allowing this to happen. So it will facilitate some finance support for people which are working on this rationale of trying to replace imports of food. This you will find this this chart in the case, but I think it's very important where everything starts, which is that professional qualification of the farmer. That's why it's critical for us to have that information. Fortunately, this year, 2020, Angola is running an agricultural census, and maybe we're going to be able to have more information on the characterization of the farmer. And that will help a lot, not only ventures like Fazenda MAXI, but any other institution, like, for example, FAO, they will be willing to help the development of the agriculture in Angola. That information is going to be useful, that new census that we're going to have. If not, we're going to see how Fazenda MAXI was able to screen the farmers and spot them and find the right guy who should be a partner on this venture. That is not easy. That is one of the questions that I have for the executive. How were you able to identify the right partner here? What would you look at in order to have this partner? And these results are also in the annex of the case, and I think they're very important. These are showing how Fazenda MAXI has been able to start replacing exports for local production as a result of the program. I mean, there is nothing you can manage if you cannot have indicators. So these indicators would allow you to know if you're doing the right things or not. My question would be, what happened after 2018? And that is good. We have here the executives to ask them that. But this is showing that this challenge is possible to tackle in Angola, no? you have all the products, all the national products, and how they are replacing the imported products with national products. And this other graph, which you also have on the case, sorry, on the case, are showing the main indicators that they're following: the area, the production, the number of farms. Remember that I told you, we have a problem in Angola with very low productivity. So how is Fazenda MAXI dealing with that low productivity? How are they being able to manage to improve that productivity? And my question again will be, what's been happening after we wrote the case in the year 2019 and 2020? Have they been able to reach the forecast or not? I will ask Marcelo and Susana, before I go into the questions that we're gonna discuss with all of you and with executives from the Fazenda MAXI, to tell if there's something that we're missing on the introduction of the case. Marcelo, Susana?
Professor, you are in mute.
I suppose it's very complete, the introduction, so I suggest that don't waste any time in more comments and go directly to the questions to be resolved in discussing the case, and then the conversation with Joao.
Perfect. Susana, so then I will ask you, I will stop sharing my screen. I will ask you to give us a picture of who are the stakeholders involved in the project, and then we will go to the questions. Can you do that, Susana? I will stop sharing, and you can do that.
Okay, I will do that. I'll be very quickly with my intervention, but if I can, if you allow, I'm going to share with you. Okay, we prepared some short presentation about this issue. So, we think that the stakeholders of Fazenda MAXI are all the institutions who want to improve the dynamics needed to better operate the agribusiness value chain. Fazenda MAXI shared its operational model with SEIVA, who inspired the implementation of an integrated model for small farmers. So the community of Dombo Grande also has the facility to outlet part of family productions to the formal market in MAXI stores. Maybe it might be interesting to introduce in 5 minutes Foundation Angola and SEIVA, and to know what is its purpose. So what can you say about Angola? Angola aims to improve the quality of life of young people in rural communities through knowledge and technology, promoting training and rural development activities. Since 2016, Angola has developed a virtual training tool in e-learning environment, called it Digital Grow, to promote technical information of rural activities with specific agro training programs. So Digital Grow is already in 10 countries in Latin America and Africa, and impacted more than 4,000 students. Now I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we have with us the General Director of SEIVA, Mr. José Maria Onassi, and ask him to talk present the SEIVA. Mr.
Hi everybody, it's a pleasure. My name is José Maria Onassi. I'm currently with SEIVA. SEIVA is the Association for Agribusiness and Entrepreneurship. Is an independent and non-profit Angolan organization focused on the rural world. Let me just make a small comment on Bernardo information. Based on all those information given by Bernardo, SEIVA has a non-profit and Angolan organization, thinks that can have also a role involving rural families. So based on this, we are MAXI providers in beans and sweet potato involving rural families since 2018. We are currently involving 176 families. These number of families are working 200 hectares. And from last year, we have been providing beans, as I've said before, beans and sweet potato. But we are doing more. What we are doing on site basically is aggregating quality information, promoting research, innovation training, support technical assistance, and rural information, so that we can help families to produce in high quality and reply to the requirements of MAXI. This is the goal of SAVA. And the goal is also to replicate model around the countries involving only rural families. Next slide, please. Susana? Okay. So that idea we would like to share with you all, and thank you for your interest, is we are also, because Angola, the 80% of the Angolan population is young, is below 25 years old, below 30 years old. So for us, this is also a huge opportunity for Angola to give a jump, to change the mind from oil revenue to agricultural revenue. And this picture, we just want to share with you the number of young engineers we are also involving. So each engineer is 30 families to give technical support on the site. So the families from now are producing with the quality required by MAXI, because we have a technical expertise and we collect all the information we need to take decisions. Next slide, please. Next. There is a small delay on the slide, but this last slide from my side, because I just want to give you and Susana will come back again, this slide just to show what we have been doing on the site, on the field with families, from the teaching people how to prepare the land. There is also a technical, giving the seeds. We give all actions from the beginning until the end. And the end is to send the product to MAXI. So basically the family are sure that what they produce have a market. And this is what we have been doing. I just came to give you a shot and to say thank you. And this is what we have been as a stakeholder, as a MAXI provider. Thank you very much. Susana, please go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. Anassi. And quickly, we would like to say that the partnership with Fazenda MAXI has allowed the DOM community to professionalize its distribution and logistics through quality control and food safety process, as well as the introduction of contract farmings, steadily improving the sustainability and development of rural communities. Another area of action of this project is the dynamization of Laboratory of Soil and Water Analysis of the Faculty of Agricultural Science do in Angola. We have been developing training for laboratory technicians and assembling laboratory equipment, which allowed to support some dynamics of the project DOM 4.0, including the DOM production cycles. This project is a dynamic interaction between different areas, such as technical assistance and rural extension, supported by proper training and research in interaction with the Laboratory of Soil and Water Analysis. The seed multiplication project is still in development phase, but it will be part of the solution of the purchasing inputs problem in Angola. And with this integrated model, we intend to contribute to increase the production capacity of the small rural family unit in a sustainable way. The ecosystem 4.0 is growing day by day, and we have with us an important and strong network of national and international entities that allowed us to enhance the initiatives that we envisioned to do. Finally, we would like to say that in Angola, 40% of the population lives in rural areas and 80% of all food production comes from rural families. We believe that it is possible to reinvent Angola by diversifying economic activities, investing in proper technology, and with the materialization of inclusive and integrated models focused on small rural property. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jose Maria. Thank you very much, Susana. The idea of having Susana and Jose Maria having this presentation was to show which are the stakeholders needed for this to happen. So now we have a better understanding of the stakeholders of this case. Let me go back then to the questions that I want to share with you, which are these. And what I would like to do is to have a discussion of the questions with all of you, but especially having the feedback from Susana, Jose Maria, Joao Nunes, and Joao Cordeiro, which are the protagonists of the case. They are the stakeholders, and we have them here. That not only will make the discussion interesting, but also will allow us, the authors of the case, to improve the case. So, first of all, we thought that after you have read the case and with all the experience that you have and knowledge on countries like developing countries like Angola, if you can comment, any of you, just raise your hands. Which do you think are the main constraints for doing the agricultural business in Angola? Question number one. Okay, you're a bit shy this morning, no problem. So maybe Joao Nunes, you can comment on that. Susana, you can translate. Can we do that?
If you don't mind, João Cordeiro translate because
okay.
They are synchronized
Okay.
for that. Thank you.
Or Joao Cordeiro, you want to come in?
Yes, I can come in.
Just
introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself, Joao.
Okay, my name is João Cordeiro. I'm responsible for all the distribution business of Teixeira Duarte, where we have several supermarkets and other businesses, and where it is Fazenda MAXI Program working. Mr. João Nunes is the responsible for this program in MAXI, and I would like just to say that we are very honored in being present, presenting this program here with you and share our program with all of you. Coming to the question, João Nunes, do you want to say something for me to translate, or?
Podes traduzir a questão para eu perceber bem, por favor?
Quais é que são os maiores constrangimentos para a agricultura, ou business agriculture em Angola?
O maior constrangimento é ter a capacidade para fazer e ter a capacidade para construir. Porque
so the main constraint is to have the capacity of doing and e que mais, João?
A capacidade de fazer.
The capacity of doing. So you have to be very you really want to have things done, because we have lots of difficulties here in the country, and the focus and the want to be done, it's the most important thing you may have.
É isso.
Bernardo, can I make a small comment from the...
Please go ahead, Jose Maria, please.
Yeah, I would like to share with all the audience the other side of the constraints from the family sides. So when we start, well, the problem, the one Bernardo has mentioned before is, well, most of the food in Angola is imported, so it does not make sense in long term. The second thing is the oil, the price and the value of the oil in long term will be finished. So Angola has all these potentialities, but is not using. So when we start working with families, what we understood these days were only working to survive. They produce the things they need to heat and the small amount to sell. And the key problem was where to sell, because they had no access to the market. And this was the first constraint for the families. This is what but they have the interest, this is their day-by-day job. So basically they are compromised to produce everything. The second constraint is they have some knowledge, but they have not the technical knowledge to improve in amount and the quality required by the market. So the second constraint was the information, the technical information. The third constraint from the family side is the seeds, mainly the seeds came from abroad. Some of them, they keep for here to here, part of the production results as the seed for next year. But then the quality of the seed is decreasing here by here because there is no improving system. And the other is the fertilizers. We also import most of the fertilizers they have to use. Well, this is from family side, the main constraint, because when we came, because we provide also all of these, we provide seeds, we provide, that's why we're also trying to run a seed project. We provide seed fertilizers and technical assistance. The key is the technical assistance because they have some knowledge, but they don't have that knowledge which will help them to give a jump. Let me just finish that when we start working, giving support to families, the result of beans per hectare was 100, the result per hectare of beans was about 400 kilos. They increased the result by 100% because of that, the technical support. Just teaching them in what time to make irrigation, how many seeds to put in the holes, and what is the distance between rows and columns when doing the seed. Well, and the great lesson I've got is these 4 constraints I explained to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose Maria. Any other comments related to question number 1, so we can move to the others?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Bernardo.
Go ahead. Yep.
Hello, Bernardo.
Sí, Johan.
But it seems as if some of the big problems there are really captured in the concept of transactions cost.
Yep.
And some of the transactions costs relate to information asymmetry, principal agent problems. Mm-hmm. Some people could call it corruption or something like that. Mm-hmm. But all in all, the argument remains: to what extent could and should government be prepared to subsidize some of these activities, and how long should such subsidies take to work through? And if you just look at it from an economic viewpoint, is there at all justification in doing a project like that? Are these little projects, are they at all in a position to compete against any imports? But it's really around the whole transaction cost issue.
Excellent, Johan. And I think that you went right to the end of the last question, no? So all these little cases, as you call them, will be able to become the new agriculture of Angola or not? What is it needed for that to happen? And of course, a good way to analyzing all this are transaction costs and the flow of information on the value chain. Marcelo, I'm sure you have some comments regarding this issue.
Yes, it's a very good question. This is at the heart of the case. Usually, what we see that the programs who have really succeed in these similar conditions is that if you have the market, in this case, Fazenda MAXI, you have the contacts with people in the field, and then the support of some organizations like SEIBA and Gila Foundation. You don't need the government, and it's better not the government to be there from the first moment. The second step could be when you have clear information about the cost and the transaction costs, but not from the beginning. From the beginning, it's like a disturb for the organization. So in our experience, it's better, like this is like a private company plus NGOs plus social agents organizing themselves, and the benefits will be distributed in similar ways. When you put the government, you put some different conditions that usually are not good in the first steps.
Thank you very much, Marcelo. Here are some questions on the chat, which are, I think, for Joao Nunes and Joao Cordeiro. Can you see them, Joaos? What is the smallest size of farm that you engage with? And the number two, what is the cost per hectare for a ton of production under your model compared to another model? Can you comment on that? Thank you for the question, Barbara.
Let me go for the first question. João, qual é que é a fazenda mais pequena com a qual nós trabalhamos? A área da fazenda, por acaso não tenho.
2 hectares.
2 hectares is the smallest fazenda farm that we are working with. And the second question is, what is the cost? Ok. Qual é que é o preço da produção de 1 hectare quando comparado com o mesmo produto importado?
Qualquer tipo de produto?
Pois, não é muito específico.
Yes, as an average.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an average, yes.
É muito mais barato, porque pode-se produzir de 2 maneiras. Pode-se produzir extensivamente e o custo de produção é muito baixo, ou pode-se fazer de uma forma mais intensiva. A forma mais intensiva, os custos sobem e aproximam-se dos custos de importação. Daí existir uma relação entre, por exemplo, o preço de uma batata que vem da África do Sul e o preço de uma batata que seja produzida em Angola, já com uma tecnologia avançada. Podemos estar a falar de um custo de produção, no primeiro caso, que chega por volta dos 90 a 100 kwanzas por quilo de batata, como podemos estar a falar de um custo de produção que chega aos 280 a 300 kwanzas por quilo de batata, conforme o tipo de produção.
Okay, let me try to translate. João is saying that basically it's cheaper to produce in Angola rather than import. And we can do this in 2 ways, in an extensive way or in an intensive way. If we are talking about the first case, we have slower prices. And when we go to intensive way, the cost, it's more similar to the import goods. but it is cheaper to buy and to have the products produced in Angola rather than import them.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I have written to the chat, but I think we are a few people here, so it would be better to talk and maybe be more specific why I'm asking these questions. But I didn't want to also interrupt your kind of like conversation around the questions that you have on the slide. So my name is Barbara Hlatka, and I'm the Agribusiness Officer from FAO. And thank you for the presentation. Why I'm asking that is that you know, many times we see that aggregation of smallholder farmers is very much limited to size. Now, maize, it's not it's specifically the crop that we see, you know, tend to be much more profitable on larger size than on smaller size. So therefore, I was interested because also from your slide, I was a little bit confused because you're saying that you are engaging in 7,000 hectares, but you have only 25 farms. So I was thinking maybe you are looking into something more medium scale. I didn't actually understood in the presentation the connection between the smallholder farmers and then the slide that was, you know, that was looking into the results or forecasts. So there is where my question went from. So maybe just like having the additional question, and sorry that maybe then we can discuss the question that you have prepared, but it's really interesting case. And so, yeah, so maybe for Mr. João, just a question, like, is the size a problem for you as a you know, as a facilitator of the chain of the agribusiness in maize sector? Yeah, thank you.
Of course, that the size it's important, but as you can see, we are working with farms with 2 hectares, so it's quite small farms. Of course, I can see it. Yes, but of course that for us to have a better, how can I say, development on the project. We cannot. We may have at least some not smaller than 2 hectares. Otherwise, it doesn't. It's not very. How can I say, productive? And maybe they can. And I think it's. I think they can join with some smaller farms to work. With one bigger. I'm not quite sure if this is right what I'm saying, but João can help me as well.
Let me add one point regarding maize, Barbara. I just wanted to show maize as one opportunity that Angola has to substitute imports and develop local production, but maize is not one of the products. Fazenda MAXI is working, the program of Fazenda MAXI is only working on fresh products, Yes. So the idea of showing maize was just the idea of showing that this is possible with a case, how they have improved the productivity, these 122 hectares and these families, but it's not a product that Fazenda MAXI is working on. So I'm sorry for the confusion, but we shouldn't mix maize and Fazenda MAXI. It was just an introduction for Angola agriculture.
Okay, in that case, yeah. Thank you very much. That clarifies everything.
So I will try to go to number 2. How will you evaluate the results? And that's when I need the inputs from both Joaos. Which indicators do you follow? How do you think that this is going well or not?
I can start and then I will pass to João. The results are, I must say that they are the best. Because what we are realizing is that we are being able to, even in our supermarkets, to increase the participation of the products of Fazenda MAXI in all the supermarket business. Just for you to have an idea, from 2019 to 2020, and now we have all the pandemic situation and all the crisis. And even with that, the products of Fazenda MAXI, they increase the participation of sales in our supermarkets. And why? And I think it's very easy to explain, because it was able to have product quality, a product with very good quality at a very good price. The supply and the prices of the products, they are very stable during long periods of times. That here in Angola, it's something that doesn't happen very often. We are always seeing the prices and the quality of the products going up and down. And this happens because we control the process from the production, okay? And the consumer, they gain confidence on Fazenda MAXI products. And this confidence on the products made us to leave this program with very good results. Nowadays, when you enter and you show the picture of our supermarket, and you can see that we are developing a lot that part of the supermarket, and we are realizing that people are appreciating it a lot, even not only for our final customers, but we are realizing also that some intermediates that came to our supermarkets to buy these products and to sell them again in the street or in other supermarkets. And this is only possible because we have quality, we have price, and we have stability of all of this.
Thank you very much, Joao. There is one question from Javier, which I will ask Javier to, can you do that orally? Because you're referring to what percentage of the total output of the farms are engaged with Fazenda MAXI. Is that right, Javier?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to know, because, what percent of the farm you're catering with, and then maybe the question of how to expand the business of FM, maybe depending on that. So that is one question. I do have some more questions, but maybe first we can go with this.
Thank you. Joao?
I couldn't understand very well the first question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat, please?
What percent of the farm are you catering with at this moment?
What is the percent of the farm?
How many farmers, with what percentage of farmers or the farms are you catering with? Not getting my question?
No.
Oh, let me reframe it. How many farmers are you catering with, and that what will be the percentage of that, in Angola?
Okay.
Okay. We are having 33 farms. We are working with 33 farms. Okay. More or less.
And there are 2.1 million farms in Angola, around that. Okay.
Yeah.
So units.
Okay.
Because the issue of inclusiveness, which depends on the kind of bandwidth you have for engaging with the small farmers, may be actually depending on that how much inclusiveness you can bring in your program, and engage with the farmers so that they can also become part of your business model.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Bernardo, can I comment?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, again, Jose Maria Wanassi, and sorry if I am coming back again, because from our experience on the field, what we see from Max experience, because the program we are implementing in Domba Grande, in the place I've mentioned, was also inspired on MAXI initiative. So, and looking to the MAXI initiative, we found it has a way to make step by step the way eventually to help Angola to sort out a big problem, which is importing 90% of the food, the first thing. The other thing is 80% of the Angolan population is involved in farming. And my comment is, for our case, in case of Dombe, which we are involving only 167 families, this is a model we think we can replicate. And if we succeed to replicate this model, the impact, and we want the model to be inclusive so that these small farmers feel that their job has value, they can keep doing the way, improving the way they do, because we can teach them. But then you will sort a lot of problems in a medium, long term. And the other comment I would like to do is the question raised before. I think that Angola is also recognized that we cannot live forever depending on the oil. And some of the political measurements that have been taken are limiting the import of food so that we can increase the production, because the opportunity to provide food for inner circle is huge. And the costs, the other financings of the production, we have to improve, but it is a huge opportunity for Angola to give really a jump involving the less favorable families. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose Maria. There are two questions which are related on the chat, which I want Joao Cordeiro and Joao Nunes to look at. One is regarding the brand identity and the consumer's recognition. And the other one from Johan is related to that. If you have an innovation system put into place, product development, and if that, I will add one from my side. Is that related to what you do in the field or not?
Coming from the brand recognized, we have our branding on Fazenda MAXI. All the products have have the branding of Fazenda MAXI, and what we feel is that this branding is getting recognized for all our customers. And nowadays, what we feel is that a product that has that brand, it's preferable for choose for our customers rather than the others that doesn't have. I think now the branding of Fazenda MAXI gave some confidence to our customers.
Okay.
This is the first question. The second question was, I'm sorry.
Do you have an innovation system put into place? And I added to that, is that innovation or R&D or product development is related to the farmers, to the field work that you're doing with the Fazenda MAXI program or not?
João, podes traduzir, por favor? Eu vou fazer fazer lentamente e tu vais-me ajudar. O primeiro passo importante na Fazenda MAXI é o planeamento. O planeamento permite distribuir as culturas.
The first step in Fazenda MAXI is the planning.
Ok. O planeamento permite distribuir as culturas pelo país, pelas 11 províncias.
The planning allows us to distribute all the culture for the country in all the provinces.
O mesmo produto está distribuído por 3 ou 4 fazendas.
The same product is distributed for 3 or 4 farms.
Cada fazenda tem no máximo 4 ou 5 produtos para produzir.
Each farm has a maximum of 3 or 4 products to produce.
Isso permite-nos recolher de norte a sul os produtos consoante as melhores épocas e fugir às chuvas.
This allows us to collect and to produce all the products through the country and in the different seasons, allowing us to run away from the raining session.
Ok. Inovação. Neste momento, já trabalhamos com rega gota a gota em cerca de 7 das pequenas fazendas.
Relating to innovation, we are now working with, how can I translate this? Irrigation by spot in 7 of our farms.
E percebemos, pelos resultados que temos tido, que há cerca de 16 produtos, 16 culturas que nos permitem crescer entre 200 a 300 toneladas.
And we have realized there are some cultures that allows us to increase to 100 to 300 tons per.
Vamos ter este ano, já está este ano, temos 16 estufas em que estamos a produzir aqueles produtos que não existem no mercado e que nós fazemos a diferença para os outros.
We are starting now to produce in. Now I need help from Bernardo. Greenhouses, yes. And this is something new in the market. There are not many doing it.
Qual é o problema que Angola tem?
What is the problem of Angola?
Todos produzem ao mesmo tempo os mesmos produtos.
Everyone produce at the same time the same products.
Não há conservação, não há transformação, nem há armazenamento.
There are few conservation, transformation and warehousing.
O que é que nós fazemos? Deslocamos as produções nas províncias para ter quando os outros não têm.
What we are doing, we are moving the productions in the provinces to have the goods where the others they don't have.
Como exemplo, em cada semana trazemos 10 toneladas, 10 a 15 toneladas de Benguela e 10 a 15 toneladas do Akukungu.
For example, we bring from Benguela and from Akukungu 10 to 15 tons per week.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Joao. I think there's a very interesting question from Shadra. Joao, if you can see that. He's saying, if this is a social project or not, the Fazenda MAXI program, and if it is not a social project, then what is the return on investment of this project? Because that will give the indication if this is scalable or not in the future. Nice question.
João, percebeste?
No, mute.
João?
Em termos de programa com cariz social.
Não, qual é que é a rentabilidade do projeto de forma a poder ser escalável?
Is it a profitable program or not?
For Maxi, it's a profitable program because we are having the products and we are selling them in our supermarkets. And what we are realizing is that we are increasing the participation of sales of this program and also the margins as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And see, João, go ahead. João Nunes.
As vendas traduzem resultados espetaculares, mas há 3 indicadores em termos de distribuição, e agora os resultados são medidos pelas vendas, não é? Que é o aumento da participação, é os resultados que a própria empresa tem a nível de desempenho, nomeadamente a quebra, e a margem que liberta. Portanto, os 3 indicadores são importantíssimos e esses 3 resultam do trabalho que é feito atrás, mas demonstram a rentabilidade do projeto, porque a rentabilidade do projeto está nas vendas e as vendas suportam tudo que está atrás.
What João is saying is that the sales that support what is doing behind, but we have 3 factors. One is the sales, the other one is the participation of these products in all the supermarkets, and also the the products that are damaged. I don't know how to say this. That you need to send them away because they are not in good conditions.
Rejected. Yeah.
They're rejected. So we are decreasing a lot of that issue. Just for have an idea, in this type of products. And it makes sense, of course. It's the products, the category that we had more this phenomenon, the rejected goods. And nowadays we are improving a lot, and it's getting one of the best results in all the products of our supermarkets. And this is possible just because the condition of the products that arrive, it's very good. Our storage has very good conditions, and also the way you expose it in our supermarkets it's important to improve this phenomenon.
Thank you very much, João. We're running out of time, but we have one question from Muhammad. Can we have your question, please?
I'm Muhammad Bilal Hassan from University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. So we are using the same approach, participative value chain approach, and develop best practices value chain for mangoes by minimizing post-harvest losses and linking them to supermarket chains in Pakistan under the broad umbrella of ACIAR, Australian Centre for International Agriculture Research, and USAID, United States Agency for International Development. But my question here is, how do you integrate relationships between actors, different marketing actors, and how do you map power distribution, as you have indicated in value chain analysis, the aspect of social analysis. So how do you code or map these social relationships between different actors, and how you can you have improved them? Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. I think I don't know if João or Jose Maria will be able to answer that. How to coordinate the social aspects of this network. Is that right, Muhammad?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jose Maria?
Jose Maria?
Let me say, I will comment, and I hope I have understood the question. The social dimension of is from, for example, from the side of SEIVA, the organization is like when you give people the opportunity to improve the work they do, you are giving them the opportunity to develop personally, to be useful. So in Angola, we have a phenomenon of people moving from rural area to the cities. With this project, we can impact people to feel confident to stay where they are, because they can live from the place they are. We just need to make sure that we can use Max to take the products out. So the first social impact, from my point of view, is you will improve people's life on the community. You will make people to fix and develop the place where they are. But at the other side, if we don't add this partnership with Maxi, it will not be possible. So I do think that from Maxi social side is we are buying the products, they buy the products by win-win process. This is a win-win process. No one take money advantage. And this is my understanding. I don't know if I got your the right comment on your questions, but I will give you so other people the chance to comment. But this is the small comment I can do.
Okay, thank you.
Um exemplo. Produtor da Fazenda MAXI entrega em média 4 toneladas por semana de produto. Mas tem
Producer of Fazenda MAXI, a producer of Fazenda MAXI delivers 4 tons of products per week, isn't it?
Per week.
Yes.
Week. Semana. Mas tem planeamento a 6 meses.
But they have a planning for 6 months. And this planning organizes his way of working.
Thank you.
Ele tem necessidade de ter trabalhadores, mais trabalhadores na terra, trabalhadores para a colheita, e as pessoas começam a ter rendimento local. E ao ter rendimento
they have
local,
to have a produce. They have to have workers for working with the land to the collection, and these workers, they have extra revenue in their for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that is also answering Celestino's question. He was asking, have these farmers been able to improve their living conditions? And I think that is what
Yes.
Joao Nunes just mentioned. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for all the comments that are still coming in. Please go ahead, Mary. You have a comment.
I was actually going to shift and just comment on the case itself. So I don't know if you're ready to go there, Bernardo.
We need to go there, please.
Okay, yeah. So let me do that, because kind of taking this piece, and I've so enjoyed listening to this discussion. I had the opportunity to work with Barbara in a couple of FAO programs, one in Rwanda last summer or last July, and then another in Uganda. It seems like a lifetime ago. But in Angola was there and very, very active participant. So it's great to see this case study coming out. And Bernardo, I really appreciate you and your colleagues for having identified this and put this case study together. I think, for me, thinking about it from a standpoint about how it as a case can be more useful, you have so many interesting questions to talk about, but I find the case could really benefit from having the details that we heard during this discussion, right? The case talks about, kind of the what and the why, but it doesn't have enough about the how. So, the things that I really enjoyed hearing today or wanted to know more about was, how does it work? How do you identify farmers? What does that organizational piece look like? How does even the distribution chain work? Joao talked about the fact that they're getting better quality over time, but the storage is good, and then it's good at the supermarket. The branding element in particular was extremely beneficial to me, because it's like, yeah, you're developing this brand, and now you have this mechanism to pull product forward. And, so that's, as you say, a win-win for everybody there, because that's a clear demonstration of value of this. So it's really about that why. The other part that I thought that it really needs more of in the case is this relationship of the other players. Jose Maria talked about, his organization and the cooperation and how it works there. So something about an acknowledgement of the others, players that are involved in this. I typically don't like the term stakeholder, so I try to stay away from it, but the other actors that are involved, and the idea about, even what should the government's role be? What could the government's role be in supporting this? Marcelo, you said, hey, it's better if they stay out at the beginning, but is that always the case? If you can actually say, the government should recognize the importance of these type of private, sector programs and developing value chains, and how can they actually facilitate that and help bring those more into the situation, and take that on actually as part of their strategy, that we're going to work to do more of these. All it comes down to this question of scale, in my mind, how scalable is this, is this a replicable model? What needs to happen? And that's why I need to know the how. in those pieces. So again, I think this is, just a hugely interesting, but it's like the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much underneath it that can be built out around those pieces. So I'm extremely excited about it. I'd love to work with you guys to think about how we can, if it can be even stronger, more useful, because I see the opportunity to use it in, again, like these programs that I was working with Barbara on, there, but also in other areas as well. So that's why I'm super, super excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. Like always, your inputs are very valuable and will help us to improve the case and also to find applicable ways of using it. So, and we would love to work with you and Barbara in projects related in Angola. Thank you very much. Any other comments that could help us to improve? Oh, Marcelo, yes, go ahead.
No, only a comment supporting what Mary said. It's very, very relevant. We are analyzing the possibility to write a case B in the trying to explain the house. So the first case will be the objective, the strategy, and the case B will be the house and going deep in the house, how they are doing this. And this is part of a research project that we are conducting since the last years in how people is changing the business model, analyzing the value chains from a different perspective. For instance, another case is in Argentina. The largest wine producer is a cooperative organizing 5,000 producers with less than 4 hectares each one, that if they are alone, they are non-productive. But organizing in a cooperative, since the last 20 years, now they are the 7th largest wine producer in the world. And we have another cases also in Peru, and we have another cases in Uruguay, and in the southern part of Argentina in the oil sector. The idea is, if you see the local producers, you will see they are unproductive and they don't have any skills and capability to do anything. That's wrong. If you change the approach to that people could work in a completely different way, and the value chain will be very competitive. This means that the boards of the largest companies of the value chain have to change their minds and to change the approach. And you cannot go alone. You have to go through a network. So this is very interesting because there are millions of small companies all over the world expecting to reorganize themselves and to produce value. And this is not a work that the government could do. They don't know anything how to approach and how to create confidence. And companies know how to create confidence. So this is like I suppose in the next months we will produce some papers about this. But we try to show that it's not a local example only for Angola. It's like a global idea of how to reorganize business. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo.
All right, thank you, Bernardo, and thank you to Juan Nunez and Juan and Jose and Susana for joining us today and sharing your insights on the case, and to Marcelo and Bernardo for writing such an excellent case that I think really generated a lot of great discussion today. I know, looking around some of the projects that I've been involved in, I think this is a really kind of a hot topic right now. I think you saw that from the discussion and the interest in what you're doing at Fazenda MAXI. And so thank you very much for sharing that with us.